If the Islamic Republic of Iran regime topples, could Iran become the next Syria? How likely is that? Given the by the way, this next Syria meaning that it will be chaos and civil war.
I don't think so.
How likely is that? Given the presence of pre-existing separatist movement, how worried should we be about the possibility? Not to mention the support from Russia and China. This is not to play into racist tropes that the regime exploits to be extra brutal to border provinces, but to acknowledge their existence and how they could evolve. What do you guys think?
Leave that on.
I don't think Iran would have a fall like Syria. I just don't think so. I don't know. I don't think so. It's not that. Iranians aren't like Arabs. I know this is gonna sound racist, but I don't think. I don't think they're like. Listen, I'm married to an Arab. I have a part Arab baby. Okay, I'm not being racist. Okay? I just don't think they're culture like them. I really don't think. This is again coming off as ignorant and as whatever, but it's my gut feeling. I don't think so.
Okay. If you're talking about Iranian culture, because a lot of Iranians try to use that card, or like they say exactly the same thing. Oh, those are just Arabs. We have superior culture, and that's not going to happen to us. Okay.
Yeah.
However, if you were going based on Iranian culture, the Islamic Revolution of 1979 shouldn't even have happened.
It was an anomaly.
Okay, well then we could have another anomaly.
But then it wouldn't be. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you look at the pattern of Arab states for the last 100 years, it's nothing. Like if, for example, actually, I don't want to go into that thingy. But let's say, for example, okay, I might as well. Palestine gain independence.
Ooh.
Do we? No, hang on. Forget about Israel.
I'm fine. I don't care.
If they did, do you think that they would turn out any different to any other Arab state? No, because they have the same beliefs, the same culture, the same everything. There will be exactly the same level of dysfunction and violence.
If anything, they would actually be 100 years. No, but they would actually start from scratch, and they would be more brutal initially because other countries have evolved.
Thank you. So I don't think Iran is like that. I think they're a bit different. If you look at Iran didn't start the Iraq war. Iraq did it against them. They weren't the aggressor. Right? You can correct me from. I don't think that they.
Yeah,
they weren't the aggressor both times.
They weren't the aggressor, but they had the chance to stop the war, and they doubled down.
Fair enough, but they didn't start it at least, right? So I do think.
I don't want to defend Khomeini for some reason. It feels like but go on.
Yeah, so I don't think that they are like that. I think there is some more civilized. They are slightly more civilized or have advanced more from a civilizational point of view. And it's
the same guy. Okay, this is not fair. The same guy that didn't start the war in Iraq executed 30,000 people for being leftist. Okay. Khomeini for being leftist and infidels in 1 year. 30,000 people.
Well, he obviously used the opportunity to get rid of people he didn't like, obviously.
But that's like, you're like, oh, look at Iranian culture. Khomeini didn't start the war. You're talking about the guy who executed 30,000.
I'm not defending Khomeini because it's not about.
I know, but you're talking. But the person that didn't start the war is that guy. Is that Iranian guy?
Yeah, but I'm not basing it simply on him. I'm not saying Iran is now Khomeini.
Yeah, I think he's talking about Iran in general. Like, I mean, if let's just say if we minus the Khamenei regime and this Islamic part, if we just minus that, then the greater Iranian public, they would have a different attitude towards forming a government.
What we're saying is that the greater Iranian public could sometimes not have its say. Like a smaller sect of the population could have a more powerful say in the destiny.
That can always happen.
That's true.
That can always happen. But I think this is why.
Right.
That can always happen everywhere. But I think this is what he's saying. Like, for example, let me tell you something. Like, and Pakistanis are very different from Arabs as well. And I've always said it. Pakistan have a lot of mixed blend of the Indian culture, which is why the Pakistanis not necessarily, or at least initially, still a large part even now, they don't mind dances and colorful Bollywood songs and music, and they don't mind that. But then it's sprinkled. But then it's a little bit sprinkled with.
When Mimsy saw at our wedding, and Mimsy's like, "Wait, what? The men and women are mixing and they dance together."
Yeah, exactly.
What? I'm like, well, then it wouldn't be a wedding. Then what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like so like, what do you expect? A bunch of falafels running around it. Come on, man. They said, if you don't have dance and thingy, then it's not a wedding. You know?
Yeah, so Pakistan is very different from Arabs, and I think this is what the video is trying to say that as well, that Iranians are very different from the Arabs as well, and whenever they would create a society, it would be different.
And you know, Armin, you can speak about this more than myself and Harris because you're obviously Iranian. But the level of like calls for secularism that I've seen in Iran is far greater than what I've seen anywhere else in the Muslim world. And the Iranians that I've always met outside of Iran, they're not like
So
Arabs
chilled.
or Pakistanis. They're not like that. They're not like almost
That's
like
not a fair
Europeans. They look
That's not
European
fair
too.
representation because
Aryan.
most of it's a larger percent. The Iranians out of Iran are a larger representation of the secularists because they left Iran.
Yeah, but even
Right?
the secular Pakistanis that I've met, right? They will still be like, yeah, but Islam is cool. While they're drinking vodka and banging a girl, they'll still say Islam is cool. But I have not seen Iranians do that. And so I think you should give yourself a bit more credit, have a bit more Aryan pride. Stop being such a stop being such a self-hating Iranian for God's sake.
I'm just going to challenge you guys on this, okay? Because the question was like worried about separatist movements, like the Kurdish separatist movements, or the Arab separatist movements, or the Turkish or the Baluchi separatist movement. But the main reason why, okay, I'm not saying it will, but if Iran becomes like Syria, okay, and there's civil war, is because of the existence of people who you guys are denying, right? So based on the statistics, like based on that came out of Iran from academic institution outside of Iran, okay, the support for the Islamic Republic in Iran is 20%, okay? The difference, the problem with, even though this 20% is a minority, okay, that would mean like around 16 million Iranians. The issue is that among these 20%, you will find more Iranians that are willing to pay a much heavier price for what they want than among the Iranians who want a secular democracy. So more Iranians want a secular democracy than Iranians that want an Islamic Republic. But the Iranians who want an Islamic Republic are more willing to die for it and even give their children for it, right? So that's why. And they also have a lot more access to weapons, and they also are battle hardened. They are the ones who've been to Iraq war, in Afghanistan war, in Syria war, so they have experience. Like on our side, we have young kids in the streets. I mean, they're brave, but they haven't been in war. They haven't been in war and stuff, right? So, just let me give you one more. Like, imagine, like, let's say at least the 10 million Iranians out of the 85 are support the regime. Okay, out of this 10 million, do you not think 100,000, only 100,000 of them, if they're willing to bleed to keep this regime? Remember, these people believe that the Islamic Republic is not just a political matter. Okay, this is the regime that ushers in the coming back of the Mehdi. Allah. So you need to obtain this regime for the Mehdi, for Imam to come back. So this is about not about this world. This is about the Qiyamat, okay? This is about the end of the world, so to maintain that. So at least if 100,000 of these are willing to die, and then compare this 100,000 to ISIS. At its peak, ISIS had 40,000 members. 40,000 members at its peak. So imagine 100,000, and these are more trained than ISIS members, with more access to weaponry, and
they're more
organized.
Yeah.
Yes, and more networks outside of the area. Like they have access to Hezbollah, they have access to Syria, they have access to Afghanistan, Fatimiyun in Afghanistan. They have a lot of support. I'm not saying they would be able to destroy the secular democracy that might come after it. I'm saying they would be a major obstacle. These would be like this would be a Shia version of ISIS that will plague Iran for
Bro, I don't want to see a Shia version of ISIS, man. Those guys fearless.
I have a theory on this that secularist humanist values, they don't come by force. They always evolve. They have humble beginnings and then they evolve into what we see today in the West. You can never have secular revolution. The only time when atheists or secularists have had a revolution, that was with the support of communism, which is basically a political doctrine. So what you're saying, Armin, I believe you. Unfortunately, and this is a question I asked Mariam Namazi as well. I would probably be more worried that even though the motivation, the will to take over in these in radicals is always more than in the minds and hearts of those who who are more balanced, who don't want to get rid of their life, who don't want to die for something like this. So it's probably more likely that some other form of extremist ideology is going to take over if there ever was a revolution. I think that. I don't think there would be. I don't think all of a sudden like the secularists will overthrow them, and then we'll have a regime in Iran that would say, we love the UN's Human Rights Charter and Geneva Convention. We want to be, like kind of like, oh, okay, sorry, Kemal Ataturk was another exception as well, who actually did do it. But again, like those people had the will. They had hundreds of years of these old rotting ideas of, even the Ottoman Empire wasn't as orthodox as a traditional Islamic worldview would have been, but there was a legacy of hundreds of years. But Iran hasn't had that, maybe 40 years, but who knows? I mean, these things are changing far more rapidly these days than they used to.
Do you know what I think the next regime should do, if there is one? I think they should invite the United States to come just make military bases inside Iran, like they did with Germany or Japan. Just be like, we can't hold this thing together.
No,
Just come here and just chill with us for a while, please.
I agree.
No, but they wouldn't allow them. No, but they wouldn't ask. Oh, like these Western forces to, hey, come over. We're having these little protests, Islamist protests in Tehran. These Islamists are trying to overthrow us. Can you come and just shoot these people down? They would never do that.
No, I'm talking about similar to what happened in the fall of Germany or Japan.
Germany, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just come and have military bases there. We will have joint operations. We'll just work with each other.
Possible.
You train our military forces. We will act. You will have access to. Here's what will help not have chaos in Iran. Okay, there's too much interest by the world's powers for stability in Iran. So if the next regime asks for Europe and United States and Canada and Australia and everybody else to go for the sake of your oil flowing through, or for the sake of chaos, for the sake of refugees, not guys, if Syria changed the entire politics of Europe because of the refugee crisis that started, right? Syria caused Brexit. Syria caused Italy to now have a right-leaning government, right? Syria caused the entire image of the politics in Europe changed. Europe does not have the appetite for another Syria 2.0. And if what happened to Syria happens to Iran, it will be 10 times worse, right? So Iran's chance for stability is their fear of instability in Iran and their interest in coming in and helping. There will be so much world powers and resources coming in and aiding the next secular democracy. That might actually stop Iran becoming like Syria. That's the only hope they have.
Yeah.
To have your questions answered on the next live stream, become my patron today. You can do so with as little as $1 a month. Link in the description below.